Yeah. Okay, so Mr. President is showing that he's the father of all.
Yeah.
Okay, then. Now, let's take our next story, talking economics now. A monetary policy is simply the actions of a central bank of any country to control the money supply and credit availability in an economy. So, owing to declining inflation and a more stable exchange rate, Nigeria's Monetary Policy Committee, MPC, faces a crucial decision to maintain its tight monetary policy stance so as to begin easing interest rates to support economic growth. A lot of work still needs to be done to take us out of the economic woods, don't you think, Wale?
Yeah, I think there's minimal reduction, not significant in the inflation rate. And I think that is important, in the comparative sense of what we have been going through over the years. The first time when the plane takes off, gets to an altitude, then begins to stabilize.
Yeah.
So I believe we are trying to stabilize now. And I hope that we are not going to enter into another storm. But I think gradually the exchange rate is stabilizing. Then inflation. And this may not be unconnected with the fact that there were some projects last year, agricultural projects that we are now getting the dividends at the state and federal government level. But I think there are a lot of things that we still need to do. Majority of Nigerians are still down there. Very low purchasing power. The cost of living is still not affordable for majority of Nigerians. Access to electricity, access to quality education, access to health. Malaria continues to consume no fewer than 190,000 lives every year.
More than everything else.
So
it is saving the national currency.
Yes.
The
so,
naira.
it's very important. So we've made a lot of significant progress, but there are still so many loose ends that we need to tie up.
Yeah, Doctor, you want to add something to that?
Well, in all of this, two things I've always sought for. Number one, let us appreciate the little progress we make on a daily basis.
Okay.
We always assume that when a new regime comes, that regime will be headed by a magician who will undo what we did over a period of 30, 40 years.
Yeah.
In 1 year, we want to see results.
After all, Doctor, before President Tinubu came on board, he knew that my country, your country, was in a very bad place.
Very bad.
And so he had to take risks.
Huge ones are that.
Yeah.
Because those are, if you want to achieve anything big, then your risk must be huge. For instance, Aliko Dangote still tells us till date that if that his refinery had failed, it would have been his end, because he put in he took loans over $20 billion.
Yeah.
It's a huge risk. I was telling somebody in my office, you are saying you don't want to take risk. What's the value of your life then, if you're unable to take risk? And that's what has happened. We are saying it. Just last week, though it went up a little again, dollar came under 1,005 by 1.4 something. That's significant since the devaluation crept in. The number two thing, so that maybe we don't keep our guests waiting, is the fact that this government must up its ante when it comes to educating Nigerians on what it is doing. A lot of us see the facts and figures, but we don't know the meaning because our pockets are still dry.
So reaching the man at the bus stop, who is the everyday Nigerian, to understand the dynamics.
It's important. See, we are at a phase where we are stable now. Then we can begin to go up. But when you are in a storm and you don't stabilize first, how do you go out of it? So we are now at the stage of stability, and then we are now waiting for it to come to our tables and come into our pocket. But we need to understand it.
Okay, gentlemen, we're not supposed to be alone. We are joined now regarding the discussion by the Director General of the Center for the Promotion of Private Enterprise, Dr. Muda Yusuf. Dr. Yusuf, good afternoon. Many thanks for joining us.
Thank you. Good afternoon to you and to the team in the studio.
Good afternoon, sir. Welcome, sir.
So what can you tell us regarding the subject matter? How do you open?
Well, generally, I think just as your very able guest said, the economy generally is in a stability phase, because the last 2 years has been 2 years of trying to fix some very difficult fundamentals in the economy. And when you are fixing things that have been dysfunctional for some time, it takes time to get out of it.
Okay.
So the first 2 years has been that, but happily, we are beginning to see some stability generally. The shocks of the reforms, particularly those two major reforms, the oil and gas sector reform and the foreign exchange reform, the initial shocks, which was very profound in the first year of this administration, those shocks are beginning to dissipate. We are beginning to see a lot of adjustments. Many companies that suffered serious losses in 2024, and many of them are now returning to profitability. So we are beginning to see some traction in terms of the benefits of the reform. But as your guest also said, we still have a lot to do, particularly when we are looking at the trickle-down effect, because the citizens understandably are very impatient. They want to see results almost immediately, but you know what it is when you are trying to fix a system that is broken. There will always be some pain then before we begin to see the full benefits of those strategies to fix the system.
Yeah, you just said Nigerians are impatient. Dr. Yusuf, you don't blame them, do you? But at the same time, what we're doing now, we need to continuously talk to them, break it down, because to the everyday Nigerian, the naira in your pocket, if it cannot go on errands for you, forget waiting, then they talk, and you understand what I mean?
I understand. Yeah. No, I'm not blaming anybody for being impatient, because when you take over the responsibility of governance, the challenge is to solve problem. The challenge is to fix what was broken. But again, just as was also said in the studio, people need to be educated that when you have systems that have been broken over 10, 20 years, you cannot easily fix it in 2 years. So, of course, we need to manage expectations about all of these things. Yeah. But the good news is that, for me, I believe the worst of the experiences is over. I'm talking about experiences of instability, sharp depreciation in the exchange rate, unpredictable business environment, unpredictable economic environment. All those things are over. And we are beginning to even see some deceleration in prices. If you look at the inflation data, you can see that from January till date, we have been seeing a deceleration in the rate of inflation. Except for February, all other months have shown a trend of downward, movement in terms of inflation rates. And even at the last inflation figure brought inflation to about 20.12%. Yes, I'm aware that people complain that inflation is decelerating, the prices are not coming down. But the truth of the matter is that some prices are coming down. The cost of rice last year is not the same thing as the cost of rice this year. The same thing is some, things like yam, gari, and the rest of them. Those who are following the trend will see that there has been some element of reduction in prices. That is not to say that we are where we should be. But the point to make is that some progress is being made. There will always be challenges in fixing a broken system. There will always be pains, but we are getting out of it gradually, and some prices are beginning to drop. And the stability we have in the exchange rate is also very indicative that things are getting better, because a whole lot of our price dynamics depends a lot on the exchange rate movement. So we are beginning to see an improvement. Our reserves are improving. We are beginning to see an improvement in our balance of trade. This is an indication that we are not importing as much. I mean, we are not importing that much. We are exporting more than we are importing. So it's reflecting our reserves. It's reflecting our balance of payment and balance of trade position. We are not importing as much petroleum products as we used to import before. These are also very positive fundamental things, because if you don't fix the fundamentals, you cannot put a superstructure on it. Otherwise, the whole thing will collapse. So filling the fundamentals, the foundation, is extremely very, very important. But when you are building a foundation, I mean, the beauty of it doesn't manifest that easily until you begin to put the superstructure.
Yeah.
I think that is what has been the story so far.
Okay, sir. What will you say? Because looking at the major focus of this discussion is about the monetary policy committee. In the days ahead, as another meeting holds, what will you be saying to them? What's your own expectation in terms of what they should do to accelerate these gains that we have made?
Well, I think what they should do is to begin to, having achieved this much as far as stability is concerned, because there is stability, there is growth. We also need stability to be able to promote growth. But at this point, I think it will be desirable for the central bank to begin to ease the monetary policy position. Because if you have seen a trend of close to 6-7 months of consistent deceleration in inflation rates, then I think it's about high time that the central bank begins to ease the monetary position. Because currently, our monetary policy rate, 27.5%, is one of the highest around the world. Our cash reserve ratio of 50% is also perhaps the highest globally. Yes, the CBN will use the tools it has to be able to achieve its objective. But these things are a bit very, very tight. They have made credit conditions extremely very difficult. Those who are investing are having challenges funding their businesses with credit from the bank. So these are challenges that businesses have been facing. So it is high time that we expect a moderation in the monetary policy position, so that we can see some reduction in the credit conditions, so that, because we need to stimulate growth, we need to stimulate employment, and you need credit to do that. So we want a balance between the stability objective and growth objective at this stage. So the expectation of many analysts is that at the next MPC meeting, we will see a slight reduction in some of these rates, if only to signal that we have reached a point that we can begin to ease and begin to focus now on stimulating economic growth.
Thank you. Dr. Yusuf, just hold on there. We are going on a quick commercial break. We should be back with you very shortly. Welcome back, folks. Recall, before the break, we were talking about the Monetary Policy Committee facing pivotal choices, amid declining inflationary pressure. And our guest was the Director General, Center for the Promotion of Private Enterprises, Dr. Muda Yusuf. Dr. Yusuf, we're back with you. Thank you for waiting. My colleague has a question for you.
Thank you, Dr. Muda Yusuf. I would like to ask you, what do you think states and local governments should do in order to help sustain this tempo, this momentum of stability?
Well, the states and local governments have a lot to do to support productivity growth, for all economic activities. The federal, of course, has a lot of role to play also in supporting productivity and in also dealing with broader macroeconomic policy issues. But when it comes to issues of productivity on the ground, supporting agriculture, supporting transportation, supporting industrialization, and so on, the subnationals have a very big role to play because these activities are taking place at the subnational level. Even issues of security, the subnationals have a big role to play because unless we complement productivity and improvements with some of these macroeconomic achievements, our progress, our recovery will be extremely very slow. So, and there's always a tendency here in our country to federalize all issues. If there's any problem anywhere in any local government, the immediate response is to say that it's a federal issue, that the federal government is not doing enough. I think we need to begin to change that narrative, to recognize that the subnationals should also be held accountable for the resources that they are managing on behalf of the people. The local government should similarly be held accountable. They are the closest to the rural areas. There's a whole lot to be done in the rural setup. And luckily, the president has pushed for direct allocation to the local governments.
Yeah.
And this is to ensure that there's a trickle-down effect, there's a bottom-up approach, to these developmental issues. So they have a lot of role to play in infrastructure, in health, in education, in whatever you think we need to ensure increased productivity in the Nigerian economy. So that way they'll be able to complement whatever the federal government is doing.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. One of the things people have always spoken about in terms of accelerating the economy has been the fact that Nigeria has declined massively in terms of manufacturing, that we are largely import dependent. What can be done to correct this at this time?
Especially considering that the only way to save the national currency, the naira, is to indulge in aggressive export activity.
Yes, let me say that the current reform is beginning to change that narrative.
Okay.
If you look at our trade figures now, consistently we have been recording some trade surplus. It's an indication that we're exporting more than we are importing. Because, yes, exchange rate depreciation may have its own challenges, but it has its own benefits. And some of the benefits is that it has inherently discouraged importation. Because importation has become very expensive. It is encouraging businesses and individuals to look more inwards.
Yeah.
Industries are now doing a lot more backward integration. So those are some of the benefits. And some of the benefits, again, is that it has incentivized exports. If you talk to those who are in the exports ecosystem, they will tell you that returns on investment in exports has never been as good as it is today. These are some of the benefits, and these are some of the things that will change the narrative. But again, we need to support production with things that will enhance productivity. And that, again, the government has a whole lot of role to play. Both the federal government and the state governments. Because infrastructure is still a big issue. Productivity is still a big issue. Cost of production, cost of logistics, cost of fund. These are still challenges. Because when you produce and you are not producing competitively, your cost will be high. And that creates opportunity for all manner of things to be coming from China and all of that. And they overrun our own domestic industries. Yeah. So creating a better environment for productivity to reduce costs, I think is very, very critical to achieve this. The monetary condition must also improve because we are borrowing at 30%. How do you want to produce in a way that you'll be able to compete so that all these smuggle attempts will not come and overrun your business? So there's also a monetary dimension to it. Then there's also a fiscal policy dimension. In other words, how do we craft our fiscal policy to protect what is produced domestically? One of the initiatives is what the president did recently. It's about this Nigerian first. In other words, the more we patronize what is made in Nigeria, the more we craft our procurement policy to support what is made in Nigeria, the better for our domestic industries. These are some of the things. I mean, look at what has happened with the Dangote refinery. Look at how much we have saved in terms of foreign exchange that we use to import petroleum products. Before now, we are spending between $10 billion to $15 billion annually importing petroleum products. Look at the kind of massive, significant transformation that has taken place as a result of that refinery. So if you can replicate this kind of experience, having more refineries and supporting more production across all other sectors, that is the way to go to, to support, a more self-reliant, less import-dependent economy. So these are the things that we need to do.
So we expect, Dr. Yusuf, may we say that we expect returns between now and the first quarter of next year?
No, we're already seeing some returns. I mean, if you look at the data, things are improving gradually. Things are improving gradually. The challenge now is the trickle-down effect.
Okay,
how do we now have targeted policies to address welfare issues? That is the major challenge now, and that is the next phase of what the government should be doing. Looking at specific targeted policies on food, on transportation, on basic items, on pharmaceutical products. And that will require a mix of policies. Monetary policy, tax policy, fiscal policy, investment policy, all the policies that we have in our arsenal to target this issue of bringing down the cost of living. That is the next phase of what the economic management challenge is. And I think we are on course, generally.
Dr. Yusuf, we cannot thank you enough for your intervention. Thank you very kindly.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Bye-bye now. Gentlemen, Dr. Yusuf made a profound statement the last time. The subnationals have to come join the fray.
Yes.
Because the federal government, Dotun and Wale, does not have a farm anywhere. All lands belong to governors. You understand?
In the states.
And so allowing local governments to earn their monies directly will help. If the governors say so.
You are right. You are right also. But at the same time, we also must look at the quality of those who are operating at that local government level. We should go beyond these elections conducted by state independent electoral commissions to allow the people who are qualified to emerge. Most of those who are running those local governments are appendages of the governor. And that is what is happening at that level. But things can change. We are now seeing that from the federal level, some things are changing. You can see some heads of ministries, departments, and agencies performing well. And that also includes ministers who are doing well. But it is not, we are not yet at that stage where we can say it is maybe 50% of our ministers are top-notch. We can't say that now. And one of the areas, and which people will keep talking about, is in the area of steel development.
All right. Wale, time is tight, so let's go to the next story.